contact me and I'll direct you to the person that can take care of it.
Great. How do I reach
Absolutely.
you?
I've got his email address. I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can look right into it.
Great. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck,
Yeah,
Jim. See ya.
nice night.
220 Turnpike Street. So this is an RDA again, associated with construction of a detached garage on the property. So Chris Moretti, you're the applicant, correct?
Yes, my name is Christopher Moretti. I live at 220 Turnpike Street.
So I'm gonna bring up the plan if you don't mind, or if you want to do it.
Sure.
I should say that this applicant and the applicant before did provide proof of a butter notification.
So this is the property here. Let me just zoom out a little bit so you can see the full aspect of it. So Turnpike Street here on the, I think that's the west, and Suarez Farm Road, it goes down here and
Yeah, there's a right of way and a farm down there.
Yep. And this is there's a dwelling up front, and there's a driveway, a paved driveway right here.
Correct.
And this is the proposed garage. There's a shed on the property that's about mid-lawn. Jurisdictional on this plan. So Chris, why don't you just tell us what the underlying issues here and how we can.
Well, I guess the proposed issue is this area back here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but
So back in the back part of the property, in this, you can see the elevation lines. So this is 81, this is 80, the contour lines. There's a drainage pipe right here at the end, the edge of the property. It's a 6-inch concrete pipe. It goes underneath the driveway next door and goes out to a drainage ditch, an intermittent stream, according to Easton bylaw. And that is the jurisdictional area that's drawn on this map. There may be some discussion about whether there's further jurisdictional area, but that is why this is before us, because it's in the 200-foot riverfront zone of that ditch. That ditch is pretty substantial, by the way. I don't want you to think that this is just some meandering little ditch. It's about 3 feet wide, maybe 4, a couple feet deep.
I do have some pictures uploaded onto the website. I don't know if you can pull them up.
Give me a sec. I can.
Just so they can get a clearer view of what it is.
Yep, just give me a sec. They were not there when I went out. So let me look at these.
Yeah.
It's okay. I just got to stop this share and share these other ones for you.
Okay.
So that's
yeah.
This is that little shallow depression where right here is the inlet to that drainage pipe.
You're looking back at his house.
Yep.
And where the trailer is that about where you want to put the?
That's about where the garage would be, yes. It's about 56 feet from the drainage ditch.
Is that the only picture you have, Chris?
No, I uploaded 3 of them, I think, 3 or 4 of them.
No, he's.
Okay.
So if you can see right under that white pipe, there's another pipe. That is the pipe that actually goes under the road.
Yeah.
And all of this was done prior to me owning the land. I've never touched any of this area except for mowing it.
And he's saying mowing because it was mowed before he got there.
Yeah, I bought it in 2003 and it's been mowed since I have a letter stating that it's been the way it's been since 1970.
So it looks
From the
like just,
previous owner.
it looks like just a little pipe, but what Rory was referring to was that I've been on this this small road over my time here in Easton, and I've seen water pooling up in his backyard. So I always presumed that he had an intermittent stream in his backyard. It didn't show up on the survey, but there's a reason why there's a pipe there. It's to drain the lawn, which doesn't have a channel, doesn't have a defined channel, but may hold water in season, during storm events.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up a couple of my pictures to give you a sense of where it drains to. But I'm having slow internet here. So I think that, so as I understand it, so I'll try and bring this picture up when I get a chance here, but.
Can I speak?
Sure, go ahead, Chris. You're the applicant here, so.
So I guess about 50 years ago, there was the property to the right of mine, which is to the right of Source Farm Road, had a low spot, and there was a pipe that originally went under the road, and that culvert was I guess put in to drain that field across from the road. But after they put the road in, they never reattached the pipe. So, I mean, technically it's like a one-ended area.
So this is the part of the drainage ditch where it goes to. You guys can see that now?
Yes.
And so this is right down here. This area here is where that pipe comes out. I'll give you a different view of it. So that's where that pipe comes out. And it comes down into this fairly substantial drainage ditch, which is this intermittent stream. But you can see that's also fed by this much larger drainage pipe must be coming from the roadway or somewhere up west of the property. So so I think that so the issue here is we have this long-standing situation that's this drainage pipe. I guess the question, and Chris talks about it, it's some 55 or 60 feet from the closest point to the
Garage being built.
the garage being built. And so the question is, and it may actually be closer than 50 feet if we take into account the area that actually gets flooded, that the bordering area of the property itself, it may actually be in the 50-foot buffer zone to maybe an isolated land subject to flooding that isn't on this map. Now, it is a relatively flat piece of property, other than this sort of depression where it is. You can see the contour lines. It goes like 2 feet over, 60 feet or 80 feet. So it's fairly flat, other than this depression, which gets drained by this drainage pipe.
And I had on the plans, on the site plans, there is silt filtration and drainage for the roof runoff on the plans.
Mm-hmm.
And like a work zone area, not to go past.
Right. So you have the erosion control, which is your limit of work.
Yeah.
And you're using 12-inch silt sock.
Yeah.
So. So,
And I had the site plans done by a engineer that is locally in the town and designed my plot plan for my septic. And he also has an engineering degree and an environmental engineering degree. And he really didn't, he took a couple soil, he just dug up a couple spots and he just didn't seem to think that there was any need to send out soil samples.
He just needed to take pictures of the soils he saw. He's a soil evaluator, Chris. Next time he should have called me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only doing what.
Yeah, I understand, Chris. You relied on the professional here, and now there's questions.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah, you're in a tough spot because, you know, so I mean, I guess, you know, the question here is, do we issue a negative RDA with conditions, a limit of work, stormwater management, or do we say it's a positive RDA? He's got to come back to us with an NOI. He's got to put the isolated land subject to flooding on here, or determine that it isn't. I don't think we have enough information to know whether it is or it isn't, other than the information that Chris shared as part of a conversation he may have had with the engineer, Mr. Pilling. So that's really our choice here, is a negative RDA with conditions that are being proposed, and or issue a positive RDA, and he's got to file an NOI and provide information about the potential ILSF or not. I just don't think we have enough information to know whether it is or it isn't. Thoughts?
I'd like to hear from John here.
What would you like to know? I mean, it looks like to me that this area was historically altered, and there was connectivity from whatever the stream that was originally to the pond that's to the south. So somehow it was altered historically. If I'm looking at this map in the back here, you know, that's typical for old farmlands. I'm guessing this was all historically an existing farm, and then it got positioned out. But, you know, for this project, you know, I'm comfortable with that, whatever we want to do on this one. I'm sure there's been a lot of site history for this piece of land over the years. You know, I haven't gone out there. I haven't done any due diligence to kind of look at this site. I haven't seen any soils or anything like that. So I'd be interested to see what kind of information we have for kind of the area itself.
I would like to just say that the fact that it's being mowed on a regular basis, and Chris is continuing a practice that has been going on before 2003, makes vegetation impossible to view. I think he just ought to, I think that the work can be done as proposed with the conditions in it. I just think that he should be aware of the fact that his backyard probably floods with some regularity, and he should not be doing any work behind the shed to change the contours. I mean, I've only been working in this job, Chris, since 2016, and I've seen water in your backyard.
Yeah. I'm not denying that there's water there. I'm not denying it at all. I'm just stating the fact that I haven't altered the land at all since I've owned it.
Yeah, it wouldn't appear that you have. I think there's no question that whatever the conditions are the conditions that have been for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
Maybe longer, maybe it's as long as 50 years. I think, you know, John's observations that likely there was some connectivity here at some point in the past, you know, in the 50s or 60s. You know, there could be some even connectivity today. You know, streams run underground as well. So just because you can't see it doesn't mean that the water isn't running there. So it is possible that there is greater thing there. I personally think that given the state of your property, and the contours and the fact that it is fairly level, that you've proposed erosion control, you've proposed stormwater management for the runoff off of the roof. I think probably this can be approved. I would say that I agree with Andrea's that I would probably condition this that no work is to be done behind the shed without any additional permitting, and that includes alteration of the land, filling or anything behind.
Oh, yeah,
that.
yeah. I have no reason to fill that land, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I like I said, I've been mowing it the same way. I haven't put even a shovel back there.
Yeah, I think we would just condition to make sure that that's the way it stays, and that if any further work would be proposed, that you'd have to come and permit it. And
yeah.
I'd say that probably, I think the next time you come before us with any additional work like this, that probably you should have soil samples done to make sure we know whether that's actually a wetland or not.
Okay.
And so, Carol, any comments?
Sure, thank you, Rory. So I've just turned to the regulations, and if I could read a couple and get folks' comments about them. I'm looking at 50321, which addresses riverfront areas. And under that umbrella, we have C4D. Regarding riverfront areas for a type 4 intermittent stream, the commission may allow the alteration of the intermittent stream, but not the minimization of any of its functions to protect the wetland values. So there's that. If your yard functions as a holding area for water, that is at least I'm not a stormwater expert like John is, but that to me is a function.
Yep, I agree, and I think that we would probably condition it to make sure that he doesn't change the function of what it's doing.
Right. How could it change the function if instead of soil being there, a building would be there?
No,
I don't think where the building is, there's any flooding going on.
if you go back to the site plan, Carol, I think it's elevation 81
Yeah.
is pretty close to what I saw as the area that I observed flooding. It was always the 2 times I saw it flooding on the property, it was behind the shed. And, and it came better than halfway across. But it never went on the other side of the shed.
Right.
And in addition to that, Andrea, is that it's actually interesting that you say that, because contour 81 is right on line with the transition in soils, according to Mass GIS. We go from, it looks like Woodbridge to, I can't even tell right here, but an upland type soil. I can't see what it is actually, sorry, but Charlton, sorry. It goes from Charlton to Woodbridge. So there is a transitional boundary for the soils there. Right behind the shed, like you said.
And it's probably holding water. So, so Carol, that area back there is functioning to hold water.
Okay.
Well, how does it hold water if there's a pipe to drain it?
It waits for the pipe to, it holds it until the pipe, when the pipe is full, and then it drains it out.
Okay.
So
Haven't you seen it puddle back there?
right. So Chris, just so you're aware, there are some soils that have high permeability rates and some do not have high permeability rates.
Okay.
Woodbridge is a soil that technically does not have a high permeability. It's not permeable, and the water just kind of just sits there, and it takes some time for it to infiltrate into the ground. And that's why you would have hydric soils at this location, is because water sometimes can sit on the surface and turn over the soils and make them more hydric than your typical upland soils, and that's what the difference is.
Okay.
John, if you can take a screenshot of that soils map and
Sure,
send it out.
I'll send it over.
So that's the question at this point is let's so I guess let's just try and get down to making a decision here, I guess. So the issue is, so if we believe that area has an ability to hold water, and that's the function that it's providing, do we believe that the proposed garage, which is probably 50 to 60 feet away from that particular area, it could be as close as 49 potentially. I don't have.
I can verify that with my scale.
Okay, so it could be as close as 49. That 81 line could be as close as 49 feet from the structure. So that would be the question is, do we issue a negative RDA with conditions that preserves the functionality that it currently has? Or do we say, because it's potentially within 50 feet of that isolated land subject to flooding or whatever other kind of wetland it could be? I don't know what kind it is, to be quite honest, because we don't have the enough information, that we determine that that we want an NOI, a full NOI on this.
Well, I'll say for me, not knowing so much about land subject to flooding, I would like to see more information about it.
Okay, Chris, I mean, John, you have any thoughts one way or the other?
I mean, I'm comfortable with the design as it is. I think the structural integrity of the garage that he's going to be building, the detached garage, I don't think it's going to really impact the isolated land subject to flooding because it's relatively flat. But at the same time, having that extra information would be helpful. I don't know what it's going to do from a perspective of, because since it's relatively flat and there's no real design. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we could condition it with certain roof runoff protection.
Well, it's on the plan right
Right.
there.
Right.
But we don't have any detail, just so you know, Chris, there's really no detail to what that runoff is, other than it says that it's roof.
No, it's right down here. If you scroll down, it's down the bottom. It's right there.
Okay,
So it's a 36-inch, 30 or 36-inch trench,
Yeah, 12 inches deep.
36-inch 12, and it's 36-inch, 12 inches deep of 1.5 to 2-inch crushed stone. And there's a perforated PVC observation port with locking. There's geotech, it's lined with a filter fabric. And the observation port actually goes down below it, just for some reason. Basically, it's a French drain on both sides.
so the question I get, I guess, is if we had an NOI on this, and this isn't necessarily a reason one way or the other here, would it change the design?
I don't think it would.
Would the applicant move the location of the garage even a couple of feet to get out of the 50-foot buffer to do so? And are we obligated to ask him to do that? I mean, if he came in with this design right now, and the edge of the wetland resource was 49 feet from his structure, would we not request that he move that, given that he has the room to do so?
I don't really actually have the room to do so. It's actually kind of tight there. It kind of looks like it is, but the garage actually is probably sitting more than the corner. I think me and Andrea measured it, possibly around the corner of the back corner of the garage, closest to the right away on the right, I mean, the left side was like 60 feet. And if I push it another 10 feet, I'm gonna start getting like a lot closer. This might not be like, it's not, it's close, but it's not scaled to inches. You know what I mean? So this garage is actually a lot closer to the edge of my driveway this way than it actually looks. So now I'm getting to the spot here that I'm going to be really tight in here.
So what's the front setback for planning? Does anyone know?
Oh, it's the front line setback is like 20, is closer.
25 feet, isn't it?
His existing dwelling is closer than the front line setback, and he can't go any closer than that.
Okay. And then the side is 20. And
Right.
what's the setback from septic?
25 feet to a foundation, and I think this is slab on grade.
Okay.
But there's a retaining wall between the two.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I'm hearing Rory say is that if he could move the garage 51 feet from the 81-foot contour, it would make a difference.
So it makes a regulatory difference. It's not, I don't think it's going to make a practical difference. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, I'm trying to be consistent on how we apply the regulations and fairly across to all applicants. That's from my standpoint, the difference. And it may seem a little too technical to Mr. Moretti, but I think that because we go through these hearings, I just let the record know that Mike Spadia has joined the meeting. So I think in trying to apply the regulations fairly on a consistent basis, meeting to meeting, while I believe that in all practical sense that those couple of feet isn't going to change the retention of the functionality of that particular area in the property, I do believe that it's appropriate. Let's put it that way. It's appropriate.
I appreciate you tracking that, Rory.
Hmm.
I'm curious about a couple of things. I'm curious about the activities that, is it Chris?
Yes.
Why do you want to build a garage?
I have 2 classic cars, and I do a lot of work on my own vehicle.
Right. So so that's you with, your garage, sorry about my dog. And then, any future owner of that property doing work in that garage, what happens if, you're changing your oil, you have an oil spill, or, somebody's storing something in 50-gallon drums that just runs right downhill to that wet area?
Well, I can't speak for somebody after my house, if I sold it, but I can speak for me that I'm a very neat person. I actually don't do oil changes because it's actually cheaper just to bring them to the dealership. In that aspect of, getting rid of oil, it's a lot harder these days to get rid of oil. So it's just easier just to not even do oil changes.
Right. Okay, so that's number one. So number two, that C4D I was reading before, there is a continuation of that. Commission may allow the alteration but not minimize any of the functions. Provided, however, the commission shall require filter strips of indigenous vegetation sufficient in width based on slope and terrain to prevent soil erosion and sedimentation of surface water without the need for man-made barriers.
He's got that erosion control in place during construction. And then there are contour lines, but it's really very gentle, sloping back there.
Right. So do we want to go look at our
It's really gentle. It is really
percent
gentle.
slope? Right. So
Like-
how does that work on sediment and pollutants?
He's had a driveway here, in this location. See, the gravel drive continues, and he has an existing, is a gravel drive underneath the proposed garage, and there's an existing driveway. When I was out there, I saw absolutely no sign of any kind of erosion adjacent to the driveway in normal conditions. So there's not, it doesn't sheet flow off of this. There is not enough slope. The roof drain could, and that's why the engineer suggested the 3-foot wide crushed stone French drain to hold it in place. So he's addressing that. I've seen no sign of erosion, and so keep the erosion control in place until the disturbed areas get stabilized with vegetation. What you're talking about, that regulation, the regulation you're speaking of is for a type 4 stream. There is no performance standard to set back. The other streams have a 25-foot setback or a 50-foot setback. What you're talking about is if we don't allow something, if we allow something to go without any setback, just make sure you put this filtration in place. So he's got 49 feet. I hear Rory saying he'd like Chris to be on the other side of 50, on an imaginary line that is presumptive on my part. So I honestly believe that regulation has been met.
Chris, can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
Why did you choose the location you chose for the pros garage? I mean, you've got a driveway, you've got an existing driveway that's not going to meet up with the garage that you're proposing. Now you say you have 2 classic cars. I mean, I don't know. I mean, don't you want the driveway to meet the proposed garage?
Well, like I said, this is probably a little bit further scaled this way.
Mhm.
So that I'm having a one door garage that's 16 feet. That's going to be more towards the center of this driveway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not really, because I mean, it looks like you're going to be needing some sort of other material to butt up to the proposed garage. If you're going to be driving those cars in there, I mean, you're just going to do.
I might have to do a little bit of concrete to the driveway.
Yeah, maybe like an apron concrete.
Yeah.
Or you could move the drive, or you can move the,
You can move the garage closer to the driveway and then just remove some of the driveway, that little corner piece.
Right.
The little boot,
Yeah.
and just bring it all the way front forward. That kind of pulls it outside, further away from any sort of regulatory area, and it
Right.
provides less work for you to do in the future, because then you don't have to worry about building an extra apron area. You got the
Right.
existing driveway, and then you can just kind of pull that whole proposed garage closer towards Soares Farm Road.
Yeah.
That might be an easier alternative for you.
Can you, Rory, can you put that 50-foot setback on the plan too from the 81? And then we can give Pilling a screenshot.
So like
Yep,
my drawing skills are really bad.
that's okay. I can interpret.
So,
So that's got to be a minimum of 50 feet is what you're saying?
Yeah, 50 feet from the 81-foot contour.
Okay. And the 81-foot contour, is that the top of would be the drainage ditch?
no, this is this line here.
Oh, okay,
That's the 81-foot contour.
okay.
So I think that well, from my standpoint, and there may be alternatives to this, but from my standpoint, I think that what I'd like to see is I'd like to see as John talked about it, and I think I spoke to it as well, is moving the location of the structure further towards Turnpike Street and Soares Road, Farm Road. And that'll get you further away from this potential isolated land subject to flooding. We can then feel comfortable that even if it is a wetland resource, we're outside of the buffer zone. I believe that the structure itself with the stormwater management that's being proposed, it would not have an impact on there, and we could issue a negative RDA. That's my opinion. I think we're sort of trying to thread a needle here. And so if that's not doable, then I would say that I'd probably go with a positive RDA and an NOI. So
So I
that's
could
my,
I could talk to Pilling and have him stake out what 50 feet is, you know what I mean? And then try to move the garage with, out of that 50-foot buffer zone, I guess. Is that what you want?
Bruce, yeah, Bruce is a professional land surveyor.
Yeah,
He can take your garage box and
Yeah.
move it 50 feet out and closer to, and give you a driveway going into your bay.
okay.
I heard John say there's no reason to build more driveway, just use the driveway you have by relocating the garage.
Yeah, I'm sending over a picture, kind of what I'm thinking. Well, give me 1 second. I'm sending it to everybody.
you can share it if you want, John, too.
Oh, sure, I'll do that then. Give me 1 second. Let's see. How do I do? Oh, yes, that's
Down
right.
at the bottom, the green button.
Got it. All right. Let's see. Okay. Share. Does everyone see this?
Yep,
Yep.
there it is.
So that's what I was thinking, something like that. So you just take this and bring it over here. You get rid of this piece right here. This goes bye-bye.
Yeah,
And then you have, no need for more driveway, and
right.
you have your garage, and then you have your ramp up to your garage for your 2 cars.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, I can do something like that. That's fine.
Okay, so I suggest we continue this to I assume to our next. I would think that we'll continue to our next hearing if for some reason Mr. Pilling can't get you new drawings by then, or that we run into other issues, we can continue it further. But I would make a motion to, unless you want us to vote tonight, Mr. Moretti. I mean, I'll leave it up to you.
No, I mean, if that's what the council needs to, okay it, I can get that done.
Okay, so we'll make a motion to continue this hearing till Monday, October 19th, our next meeting.
Okay. Do I have to like send out any other forms or butters or anything like that? Or is this just a continuance of what we already done?
So the question, your question is
So
basically,
I don't-
we
I
won't
don't
have to start, we won't have to start over again. No, you just need to
Okay.
submit new plans.
Okay,
That's all. Just,
All right,
you'll,
so just-
you'll just upload new plans and then we'll discuss those new plans at our next meeting.
okay,
That's the intention here.
okay. Sounds good.
So I need a second on my motion if there is one.
Oh, sorry, Thomas second.
All those in favor, roll call vote, Caulfield's aye.
Lundin, aye.
Should I vote?
You should not vote, Mike.
Okay, cool.
Mike, you got to abstain.
Abstain.
Mike,
Thanks. John, Thomas, I.
so we got 301. So we'll see you on the 19th, hopefully, Chris.
All right, thank
Laurie,
you.
do you want to ask if there's any public comment?
I'm sorry, any public comment? Everybody here is,
Everybody here is
Awesome, thank you.
recognized as who they are.
yes. I saw no public, so. Thanks, Chris. We'll see you on the 19th.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, it is 7:20, 7:18. The next hearing is 445 Bay Road, Sam Wright Wetland Restoration. We got our file number today. If you hear, you sounded like you were all very positive at the last meeting. It didn't sound like there were outstanding issues that needed to be addressed tonight. So I think we were waiting for the file number. I then went to my staff report where I summarized what I thought was the issues you would find most interesting and pulled out a series of conditions, A through H, just to remind the project engineer how to do the project. All of them come from the notice of intent support documents. So the most important thing is have the wetland professional stay on site during construction.
Yeah, so I actually don't have any questions. I'm very much in favor of this project. As I said last week, I think it's a great project. I think there's a lot of interest. I think the challenges for us are timing, funds. Is it potentially that there's more to do here than we have money to do it with? I think we need to have volunteer involvement as far as monitoring the invasive species management. So I think that those are really the challenges here. We sort of need to get the initial part started this fall and winter so that by the springtime we can start planting and start with that wetland restoration portion of the project. So I think that unless there's questions about the scope of the project, I think we can talk about what we want to do first, what we want to do second, what can we do with the grant that we've already got in place, and potentially what does that mean for the entire project, and trying to find money probably for the last part of the project. So, I mean, the stuff that we want to do right away is getting rid of the concrete. That's going to be the first part of the project. Get rid of the concrete. And then immediately following that, we want to start regrading that area so that we can start reestablishing the wetland area so that it can start holding water as it was designed originally to do. Next spring, we want to be able to seed it all. And so I think probably at that point, you may want to let it seed for a season before we even put in any other plants. But I think that from a timeline standpoint, the other thing that in that timeline is starting the invasive species management portion of this as well. We can start in on that right away. And we'll have monitors. There's probably people on the commission that are willing to help. There's probably people in the community. We can all get trained on how to do it and how to monitor it, so that we can make sure that this is a successful project. Do that. So any thoughts, Andrea? Did I miss anything, or did I cover just about it?
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, just the, probably a technicality is
I
that
lost you guys.
once you regrade, you're gonna want to seed immediately so that all disturbed area has some sort of stabilization in place. The seeding is not gonna be expensive. It's gonna be the plantings that'll eat up money. But I do point out
Yeah.
that it's a 3-year approval. And the MHP likes the program. So if we would just go for a second grant is what basically Carolyn's expecting. We're gonna do as
Yeah,
much.
so I mean, I think, yeah, and I think we sent that message last week, so I
Yeah.
think that's fine. And I think that if we can show that we're making progress, and we're aggressively pursuing this, that makes us even more a desirable project, so that we can finish it off. So I think that's a good way to approach this. So anybody else have comments, concerns, questions?
Sure, this is Carol. Andrea, on number 15, B, you're saying only native grasses, trees, and shrubs shall be planted. What I don't see is perennials, so I wonder.
My mistake. I meant to say, when I said grasses, I was thinking the herbaceous layer. And then I had, didn't have the list in my head, so I thought they were all grass. So you want to certainly add perennials into B.
Yes, please.
Yep. When you say perennials, you mean herbaceous? You don't mean perennial
Yes.
trees?
That's right, herbaceous, yep.
And there was definitely that in the proposal.
I figured, yeah.
Anything else?
Great job. I'll be happy to help.
Perfect.
Me too.
Same. I'd love to help. Can't wait.
Oh, Mike, perfect. 5. We got 5 monitors. We should be fine. Because I'm including Jonathan Chase and Ed Hands in that.
Okay. Any comments, John?
None. This is going to be a great project. Definitely going to be a lot better than what it is currently.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of land anyway, but it'd
Oh, yeah.
be great to get that concrete out of there. So,
Oh yeah, definitely.
so this is a NOI. So I am going to any public comment on 445 Bay Road before I get in trouble here for not asking for public comment when there's no public here, but I'm asking. Let it be noted. Issue a permit for work and order conditions for 445 Bay Road. Conditions as noted in the staff report, noting that 15B should also include herbaceous perennials.
Lundin second.
Roll call vote, Caulfield's aye.
Lundin, aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
There we go.
Thank you very much, team.
No, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, great work on this, Andrea. I really
Great
appreciate
job.
We're going to make every penny count.
it. So acceptance of outstanding minutes is our next topic here. September 14th, I had suggested some changes offline over the week, and they were incorporated. So I didn't have any other further comments. As they are printed, I'm okay with them. Anybody else?
None for me.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written of September 14th, 2020.
Thomas, second.
Roll call vote, Caulfield's aye.
Lundin, aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, aye.
Andrea, updates.
There's only one update. The track and cross-country track, we're very pleased that you came, allowed them to come to Wheaton. Tuesday is too soon. Tomorrow is too soon for the first meet. They'd like to have their first meet on Friday. They did put out a nice little, what looked like a soccer backboard over by the Wheaton Farm parking lot with a nice poster board that says we're gonna have cross-country meets coming here on the days, because I told them place is going to stay open, so they have to advertise accordingly. So he started, but they're not starting until Friday. Thank you very much about the hunting information. He's passing that on to all the teams that come.
Yeah, that's it's a great opportunity for us to be part of the community as we always are. So
He would like to stay close. They would like to use the fields instead of going into the woods. And that would take care of the hunting issue. And they'll stay away from the production, fields actually in production by putting cones out.
great. Should we notify Langwater that that's happening?
I did.
Great, excellent. I have a couple of just topics to cover here, maybe even only one. 9 Prospect Street. I just want you guys to know that this is something that came to us as a certificate of compliance, geez, a couple months ago. And there were 2, maybe it was might even be longer than a couple months ago. They had 2 issues. One was there was no medallions on the permanent markers. And the other was that there was still debris in the wetlands. And they took care of the medallions right away, but there's some disagreement about who's supposed to take care of the stuff in the wetlands. The original contractor says, well, it wasn't in my contract. And now the new homeowner is saying, well, you're responsible for getting the certificate of compliance, not me. And so I've told the engineer, Collins Engineering, that they are to be here on the 19th to tell us what they're doing. So it's sort of a matter of somebody taking care of what was supposed to be done right from the get. It was a condition. The project should not have been closed out by anybody, any contractor, without taking care of this. And somebody missed it. They now need to fix it. I don't want to leave it on the new homeowner to be under an enforcement order for this, which is about our only avenue other than to hold the original permit holder accountable. So we're going to hold the original permit holder accountable. So, but I did want to let you know about that. I did want to just have a very brief conversation, and I chose not to put an item on the agenda because the last 2 meetings have been extremely long, and this was an opportunity for us to have a nice short meeting to talk about reg revisions. It is on our table to do. I'm trying to get some breathing room for all of us. I think after a 4-hour meeting last time that we could all use a very short meeting. So I made the conscious choice to say, okay, let's have a nice short meeting, get back to our families for one evening on a Monday. We will we'll pick it back up when maybe after a couple of these big projects clear our plate, we can pick it back up when we might have an extra half an hour meeting to talk about this stuff. Right now, we don't have it. Just by the time we get to it, we're exhausted. We just don't have the capacity to do it. So I just consciously made that decision not to do that. So I just wanted you to understand that. Okay. I think that's it. So anybody else have anything else? Because we're about to go into executive session here. So. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to go into executive session, but I want the record to show that we do not anticipate coming back out of executive session. We'll actually adjourn from executive session. So this is a closing of the regular portion of our meeting, and then we'll make a motion to go into executive session, and then we will adjourn from there. So I make a motion to go into executive sessions for the purposes of discussing lease terms on one of our properties.
I'm a second. Oh, give it to Carol.
I almost jumped on that.
I know.
So roll call vote, Caulfield's aye.
Blondine, aye.
Spady, aye.
Thomas, I.